The moment we landed in Georgia, we were made to feel incredibly welcome. The immigration official gifted us with Georgian wines. Gamajoba, dear guest. You've only stepped on our land, the birthplace of wine, and you already know our most important word, hello. Georgia is a foodie heaven, so size bigger pants might come in handy. Here you will meet people who wear their heart on their sleeves. Hospitality is our second name, so receive this gift as a sneak peek of what's to come. Wish you a pleasant stay and see you around. Regards, Georgia.
Hello, welcome to our channel. We are very excited as we begin the new year in a new country. We are in Georgia, in Kutaisi, and this is our first time, in fact, in any part of former Soviet Republic. Georgia as a location also worked for us because both of us are Indian passport holders, and Indians do need visa to enter Georgia. But thankfully, as UK residents, we are visa exempt. I did go into the Georgian e-visa portal. In just a couple of clicks, they pretty much told me that I don't need a visa. It's a pretty user-friendly site, so even if you do need one, my guess is it's going to be easy. I believe it cost $20 per person. We arrived here last night at about 1 in the morning. It's a 5-hour flight, which can be challenging in a low-cost, no-frills airline. We had in fact arranged an airport to hotel transfer, so that was okay. I know this is a cold country and I believe the temperature is going to hover around 0 degrees for the entire duration of our stay here, but honestly I think it makes so much more sense to visit cold countries in winter, unless it's a ski destination or somewhere where you can catch the northern lights. Everything is going to be cheaper, accommodation, food, and there's going to be fewer people on the roads, so it is much more attractive for me. The only obstacle I faced is that I couldn't find any currency exchange place in London which could convert my British pounds into Georgian lari. So this is the first thing I need to do, find a currency exchange place.
I can see lots of places which exchange USDs and euros, so if you carry USDs you should be fine. There are exchanges near the city center where you can get British pounds exchange as well. Our first destination after this is going to be the Green Bazaar. I need to get something for my breakfast there because my dear wife has already had breakfast. She couldn't wait for me. So we are standing here in the middle of the Green Bazaar. This is a huge marketplace right next to the city center. It's got different sections and they sell a lot of local produce. We see lots of colorful fruits and vegetables and nuts here. You've got milk products as well. These are specialties here which I've not seen anywhere else. These are candied nuts and candied dry fruits. They're really tasty. It looks very neat, very clean, very honest. They've got prices labeled. So if you are in a self-catering place, then I would suggest you come here and you buy your grocery. Otherwise, it wasn't too impressive for us because we have seen most of these fruits and vegetables back in India.
As today is our first day in Kutaisi, my plan is to visit the places that are in and around the city. And of course it's winter, the days are going to be shorter, so I want to visit the places that are in the outskirts first. I've managed to find a taxi which will take us to Bagrati Cathedral, Gelati Monastery, and there's another monastery, I think the name is Matsa Meto, and he is charging us 40 lari for all three of these places. That comes to around 10 British pounds, which I think is a very good price. I don't know if it's going to be more in summer, but hey, it's a good deal for us. So we have first reached Gelati Monastery, which is about 1,000 years old, and it has got the stamp of UNESCO now. The road that took us here is quite long and winding, and on our way we could see snow-capped mountains, so I'm sure we are in a pretty highish altitude now. Vikram, tell us more about this monastery.
Built in 1106, the monastery lies 11 kilometers to the northeast of Kutaisi. It is not only an important center of religious life, from the very beginning, Chilati also has been an academy. Its importance transcends national framework. It was revered in the cultural life of the entire Orient. It was referred to as the New Athens and the Second Jerusalem. Its significance was also appreciated by the UNESCO, who put it on the World Heritage List in 1994.
Our second stop is the Motsameto Monastery. Nestled in the mountains overlooking a gorgeous ravine is this beautiful piece of architecture, which is also about 1,000 years old, I believe. And now Vikram is going to enthrall you with the history of this place.
So behind me you can see the Motsameta Monastery, which dates back to the 11th century. However, the first church erected here much earlier in the 8th century. Surrounded by the Salsitela River, it was naturally unreachable due to its location in the past. The name Motsameta also means the place of the martyrs, and it is a source of countless legends.
This is the final stop of our taxi trip of the outskirts of Kutaisi, and stretched in front of me you can see stunning views of the city. The monument which we are going to visit now is the Bhagrati Church, and Vikram is once again going to enlighten us about the history and architecture.
So this cathedral, as you can see, it overlooks the city and it sits at the top of a hill called Oki Merioni. It is one of the 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites that you can visit in Kutaisi. Built by the first king of unified Georgia, Bagrat III, in the late 10th century, the cathedral stood intact till the end of the 17th century when it was blown up by Ottoman invaders. Many beautiful carved stone fragments are scattered around the building. The lavish decor of facades, especially the porticos, vividly demonstrates the wonderful achievements of Georgian architecture in the stylized depiction of flora and fauna. Reconstruction works on Bhagrati Cathedral took more than 50 years. It started in 1950s and was completed in 2012.
It's quite late in the afternoon and we haven't had our lunch yet. Vikram is still surviving on the candied fruits he had earlier today. So we are out to find a good place to eat. The main street you see behind me is called, I think, Smintanino Street, and there are loads of charming cafes all around. It's right at the heart of the city, next to Kutaisi Park. The Vikram has managed to locate a restaurant called Palati, is that the name? And it reportedly has good reviews, so we are on our way now. Okay, so as you might have guessed, we have had a hearty lunch with 1 bottle of wine, and at the end they offered us free shots of a local honey-based liquor. We are...
I'm not tipsy.
Yeah,
you may be.
No, I'm not. I'm never tipsy.
She's not tipsy.
I'm not tipsy at all. But I'll tell you how much the lunch cost us. It only cost us 48 laris, which is equivalent to about 15 British pounds.
Not a bad deal.
With a full bottle of wine.
And excellent food.
Of course, an excellent food. We are on our way to the White Bridge now for some local sightseeing. Right, so as you can see, Vikram has several new friends. He doesn't need me now. So we are now approaching the Golden Marquee, which is right next to the White Bridge. The Emiratian kings are said to have conducted trials and execution beneath the large plane tree in the yard of this palace. My guess is that tree with no leaves.
Right now we are in the middle of the Royal District in Kutaisi. The historical center of Kutaisi has been recently solicitously restored and renovated based on archive materials. The buildings come mainly from the 18th and the 19th centuries. This is the best area to spend leisure time and look for nice cafes and restaurants serving local drinks.
We are walking through Kutaisi Park now on our way to see the famous fountain, and Vikram is once again busy with his friends. But you know what? I need an urgent loo break, and I've spotted something. Right, so this wasn't the most efficiently managed loo I've ever been to. The flush wasn't working, the cubicle door wouldn't close, but there was running water. It could have been worse. I've been to worse.
And it's in the middle of the city center of Kutaisi.
Yes, it is in the middle of the city center. The one thing I forgot to mention earlier is that whilst entering Galati Monastery, we did spot a public toilet both for men and women. I have no idea how good or bad that is, but at least there is one.
We are bang in the middle of Kutaisi city center, and I am standing in front of the wonderful Kolkata fountain. Located in central square of Kutaisi near the theatre, this fountain presents enlarged models of ancient golden artifacts found nearby Kutaisi during archaeological excavations. Among them you may find the statue of Tamada, or the Toastmaster. In the backdrop you can see the beautiful National Theatre. As you can see, the National Theatre is decked up all in Christmas decorations, because here in Georgia we are celebrating Christmas on the 7th of January.
We have returned to our hotel / guest house for a quick snooze before the next adventure, which is a grand dinner at Thomas Wine Cellar. It's a family run place. They have a winery which they started about 50 years ago. There's going to be free flowing wine, it seems. I'm not drunk, but good luck to me.
So we have come in for a lovely dinner at Thomas's Wine Cellar, and I have to say this is unlike any other place that I've ever been to. It's basically their ancestral home. They still live on the second floor, and on the ground floor they make their own wine. They get the grapes from their own vineyards, they get the tomatoes, they grow tomatoes for their ketchup as well, and they make it in the original Georgian recipe, in the original Georgian type, right? So they use clay amphoras and for the segmentation bit. So you can see my wife is already getting tipsy, or no, she's not tipsy.
I'm never tipsy.
She's never tipsy. So we just got out of Thomas's restaurant, and the food was amazing.
Yeah.
And there was so much of it that we actually couldn't finish any of the courses.
No, we couldn't, and I think that he probably would have offered us unlimited wine, but we couldn't even finish the jug, even though I'm never tipsy. But we have to remember that his mum and his wife cooked the food, and we are Indians, right? We grew up in India with Indian parents, and if there's something you need to know as Indians, it is that you can never ever say no to your mother's
cooking.
To your mother's cooking. Yes. So if the mother cooks, you have to eat it. Even if you die, you burst, you kill yourself, it doesn't matter.
I feel like I'm bursting at the moment.
You have to eat when a mother cooks. The distance from Tom's Wine Cellar to our guest house is about 30 to 40 minutes walk.
2.5 kilometers.
It is, no, I think it's about 3.5 kilometers. A little more than 3 kilometers as suggested by Google Maps. We did take a taxi for the onward journey. It cost us 4 laris, which is equivalent to just a little above £1 British, which is an incredible fare if you ask us. But for the return journey, we decided to walk because we need to burn so many extra calories. And just to let you know that Tom's Wine Cellar, they obviously serve you their own wine made from their own vineyard, and also I believe the vegetables that they use to make the dishes are from their own kitchen garden, and Tom's wife and his mother actually make the food for you. They don't have a menu card, but we don't eat meat and they manage to customize the dishes for us, which is great. The cost is fixed at 40 laris per head, which once again is just above 10 British pounds. Again, I can't believe how incredibly cheap that is. Yeah, so we have finally reached our hotel, and it's about 11 at night. I have to mention this, that I did feel absolutely safe on my way back to the hotel.
All the streets are well lit. There are no unruly drivers. There's a lot of police people patrolling the roads.
Even though there are very few people on the road, I mean, Kutaisi itself is sparsely populated and this is off season anyway, but I didn't have any concern with my Vikram safety. Good morning. We are off now to see the canyons and the caves. The car has been arranged by George, the owner of the guest house we are staying at, and he is charging us 40 British pounds for a full day's worth of trip with our private car. That's a good deal, isn't it? We are quite excited, and on our way we can see loads of snow-capped mountains. I don't know if they're the Caucasus. Is that the Caucasus range, Vikram? Our first stop today is the Martvili Canyon, which is an area of natural beauty. The canyon is about 2.5 kilometers in length and 20 to 30 meters in depth. There's a 700 meters long walking trail which is clearly marked, as you can see, with bridges and all. The limestone here contains fossils of invertebrates and is said to be about 20 to 25 million years old. That's really old. The area itself is very well maintained. It costs you 17 laris per person to enter, and if you opt for a boat ride for an up close and personal view of the canyons, that's going to cost you an additional 15 laris per person or 25 for a couple. But it is very clean, very well maintained. There are toilets, resting places, a cafeteria with the promise of a Wi-Fi. We are now at the Prometheus Cave, which is once again a prehistoric natural structure. If you have any interest in geography, geology, you will find this magnificent. Honestly, even though I'm not much of a cave person, I think this is absolutely magical. Just a few pointers to remember, that there's a lot of walking up and down the stairs. There are in fact 880 steps inside, and the walking trail is about 1400 meters. It can be slippery because everything is natural, and in an underground cave we do know that there will be water seepage. It's quite humid and cool too. If you have weak knees or claustrophobia, then you shouldn't give this a try. The entrance fee is 23 lari, which includes a guided tour. You need to pay additional if you want to opt for the boat ride, and of course here too there's clean toilet and resting facilities. We are now at the Sataplia Nature Reserve, again a piece of land that dates back to millions and millions of years. The highlight of this location is definitely dinosaur footprints. It's apparently one of the very few places on earth where we can actually see dinosaur footprints, both herbivores and carnivores. You can see in front there's a little museum with lots of information about dinosaurs and a couple of models too. There is also a cave here which is smaller in size and probably less impressive than Prometheus Cave, but with its fair share of stalactites, stalagmite and stalagnates. But this park is not just about dinosaurs and caves. It is also surrounded by thick woodland with well-marked walking trails. The entrance fee to this park is 17 lari per adult. That includes a guide, and of course, like the rest of the other protected areas, here too you'll find cafe, resting place and toilets. We have returned to our guest house, Hotel Kutaisi Globus. This is a family run place owned by a lovely man called George. He is very helpful and all the staff members are his family members too. George is the only one who speaks English, but the others are lovely and friendly and hospitable, so you won't have any problem at all. As you can see, the room is a good size. I can see an aircon too if the weather gets warm. Obviously there's heater. It's very clean. The bathroom is also a reasonable size, but I'm really impressed by the cleanliness and the price. This only cost us £17 per night, less than £20 per night. I know it's off season, but I still think it is amazing. It doesn't include the breakfast though, but you can get a full hearty cooked Georgian breakfast for 10 lari per person. They can arrange, if you speak to George can arrange several excursions for you, and also hotel airport pickup transfer. I can see the board right here. So as you can see, airport transfer is 10 euros a car. The only disadvantage of this guest house is the sound factor. It's right next to a main road. Obviously cars ply through it even all night long, but if there are noisy people out in the corridor in your next room, then you will feel disturbed. So if you are someone who's very sensitive about sound and is accustomed to silence and quiet, then this may be challenging for you.
My favorite part about this hotel is its proximity to the city center. It's hardly a 10-minute walk to the city center, which makes it convenient. Also, there is a local supermarket just next door.
We have come to the city center once again. We are next to the Kutaisi Park. This is where all the action happens all the time. Anyway, we had run out of foreign exchange, but thankfully we could find a handful of forex centers. As mentioned earlier, all the happening places to wine and dine are here. So let's see where we can find ourselves a couple of seats.
So we just had dinner at Kutaisi Cafe, and I found the menu to be quite comprehensive and the service was super efficient. They understand that they speak English as well, which is a great boon. The food was okay and the wine was good.
The wine was good, of course, and dinner cost 49 laris. We have been very fortunate in this trip because the weather has been pleasant on all the 3 days. We are sitting at the park now enjoying lovely Georgian wine made from a local grape, Saperavi, and this is kachapuri. It's also a local delicacy. It is a very heavy cheesy bread and we have had it pretty much with every single meal. We'll be off this afternoon and we wanted to buy a few souvenirs. We haven't been able to find too many souvenir shops here, to be honest. This was the only one that we liked, which is next to the Green Market. My mother collects dolls from all across the world and Vikram's dad is into collecting wall plates from different locations. So we have managed to find them, but whenever we travel to any destination, we always send postcards to our families and we really haven't been able to find any postcard anyway, which is weird.
My impression of Georgia on my first visit is the people are very warm and friendly. Not all of them speak English, but it generally doesn't get in the way. If you want something, they understand it and they try to help you out. So I would definitely say I'm going to come back again and explore this country in a more detailed fashion. We just visited one city.
Yep.
There are lots of other places of interest that we can go to in Georgia.
Yes, a couple of things that I think you should know if you plan to visit here. The plug sockets that they use here are type C and F, which is same most countries in mainland Europe anyway. And about local transportation, I know there's a bus number called 1 and 4, and there are some shared minivan kind of vehicles called, I think they're called Mashrutkas. But all the destinations were written in Georgian because of the language problem, and because getting a taxi was so cheap anyway, we decided not to go for public transport. But we will be trying to take a bus to the airport. It's run by a company called Georgian Bus, and the fare is only 5 laris per person. They have fixed times depending on your flight times. When the airport is serviced by only a small number of airlines, they can afford to do that. And the problem is that I have had a look at a lot of websites, including their own, and I haven't managed to find the bus stop. Nobody has mentioned where the bus leaves from. I just have one information from a blog somewhere that it leaves from Tbilisi Road next to McDonald's. We will try to locate that, and I hope we'll be successful, or else we'll have to take a taxi, which obviously is going to be more expensive. We can see a few other travelers who will also be going to the airport to catch the same flight. So my guess is we are at the right stop. And just to let you know, the bus stop to the airport is in the city center next to the fountain, right next to McDonald's. There's no way you can miss this. It has been one of the worst airport experiences I've ever had, with a very badly managed queuing system. And I'm saying this even though I come from India. They have their hearts in the right place, but they need to pull their socks up. There's a lot of infrastructure, but they need more experience, in my opinion. Also, there's no water dispenser or fountain here at the airport.
Just started boarding.
Yeah. See you. Bye.